having pre-created this. So this client's given me these images and they want to make this, you know, fair picture, have some more life to it. Because it's memorable and important to these people and they want it in their collection on their wall. So first thing I did was look at bringing up the contrast in the water and the coloration in the water, and did that with 2 adjustment layers, both that have masking on it. So far that looks pretty good. I could be a little bit more careful here around some of the edges of this woman's hair. It's turning a little green, and I probably should lower the brush size and get not 0 hardness and not 100 either, somewhere a little softer here. Oh my goodness. This side is the side I want to be on. Oh, that's not it either. Let's get that. X for black. There we go. One more time. This layer. Okay, there we go. So as I'm zooming out now, I should be getting her. Am I going the wrong way? B for brush. That's what I need. Okay, so that's certainly not right. So B for brush, X. Right, so now it's coming back to the more correct color, okay? Her hair, it's surprising sometimes when you see comparative color. Right, so that's definitely becoming a lot more clean there and more believable here. This nice orange on the sun. All right, so I would go through and get all those edges, make sure that I'm very, very happy with this before I do the next step. So he looks good. He was easy to do. Get his shirt here. You can see that's got a lot of the green color from the water leaking in there where I changed the watercolor. And it's making me really thirsty. And all right, so much better on the skin tones and all over. The mask is much cleaner. I'm going to check this one also and make sure it's all solid. Okay, so now I'm happy with that. And the problem, however, is the background. And these people, I really want this background to look like it's fitting seamlessly, but this mask, trying to paint this by hand, is really a drag. It's not likely that I'm going to get that right. So I'm selecting it. I'm going to fill it all with white, Command A, Option Delete, and could not do that because it's hidden. So let's try it again, Option Delete. All right, so now there's no mask on it. I mean, the mask is there, but there's no content on the mask. Now here is the tricky moment in time. Stay with me here, okay? Take a deep breath if you need to, because this is a little bit different than anything I've shown you before. So at this point in time, I am going to hide the layers that don't contain the people, and in fact I should probably hide the adjustments as well, okay? Except that when I put this adjustment on, the hair of this dude gets much more clear. So I'm now going to switch over to channels, and if I start clicking on the red channel, the red channel, the green channel, the blue channel, I would say that the blue channel has the most content below the horizon line that's clearly visible as distinct from the content above the horizon line. Look at his hair. This guy in the middle's hair, his hair. Watch, look at the edge of his hair here versus the edge of his hair here. So this one has more differentiation against the sky. So what I'm going to do here, this is really cool stuff. You with me? All right. Is I'm going to duplicate this channel, which has all kinds of information on it, which would make a really helpful alpha channel if I can use it correctly. Then, with this new copy of the blue channel, I'm going to go to Layers, Command L, Levels. Sorry, I misspoke. I meant to say Levels. And I'm going to use the black chooser, and I'm going to click on his hair here to make it black. And then I'm going to find a little gray speck up in here, and that made more black. And you can see that now I have a pretty strong silhouette here. This woman's highlights of her hair are trickiest part here. If I click in the background up here at the top, it makes the sky white, and I can start to see a pretty strong distinction between the upper part and the lower part of this image. Again, if I click the black point chooser, and I even pick, let's say, one of these light grays in his shirt, it'll turn everything from that light gray, darker black. And that helps me to see a very strong line along the horizon here. These images are just totally randomly picked. They're not like pre-decided. It's a little bit more real when there's a problem. So I'm resizing the paintbrush tool, and I'm checking the edge again of the paintbrush. Again, this is a copy, hardness 100%. This is a copy of the blue channel, and I'm adjusting it to turn it into an alpha channel, and I'm going to paint all the way up here. The most important thing that I have to keep is the tops of their heads as they enter into the sky part of the sky. So I'm really looking at the edge of my brush and making sure it doesn't go above that little mountain line there. Smaller brush here because this guy has a highlight on his head, and these are highlights in her hair. This is probably my most difficult part right there and here. So now I've got this, okay? X for white to bring, X for white, okay? That's not white because it's gray, and now it's white. Okay, so now everything up here is white and everything below is black. All right, here comes the exciting moment in time. So I'm going to go back to the RGB channel, and now the image is showing, and I'm going to turn back on here the sky image, selecting the mask portion of that sky image, and choose select, load selection, and I want this one called blue copy. When I click OK, nothing happens. Not a good feeling. Okay, what the heck happened here? Select, load selection, and blue copy. Huh, I better look.
There you go. It's right there.
Yes, not working. It's supposed to give me this. Now it does look like there's marching ants there.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I couldn't see them, but now I can totally see them, so I'm happy.
Okay.
I won't cry anymore about that. Back to my layers panel. Here's my layers. And I here am on the mask portion. And I'm going to do, select inverse, which is going to select the opposite. And then then right, Command Delete. There we go. It's just slow.
Oh.
It's just slow. My computer's just being slow. Come on, baby, you can do it. Please. There we go. Okay. So this is unusual that my computer's really this slow is kind of devastating. I've never actually had it be this slow. It's just probably because it's recording and I have no idea otherwise why it would be this slow. So you can see now I have a really clear distinction between the sky and the people. The sky almost looks real. If I do some adjustments here to this now masked layer, please don't crash, computer. I think it's just tired because I've had it on without restarting it for a few days. That's sometimes not a good thing. So here what I'll do is I'm going to deselect because we know the mask is in place even though it doesn't look like it. And I'm going to toggle over and just maybe close a couple of windows, and maybe that will help speed things up, not much. And I'll close this image too. Don't save. Aha! All right, so there we have it. There's still some slow motion happening here. All right, so now with this, which is the now masked layer selected, which has got black and white on it. And the edges look almost convincing here. You can see there's a little white halo around her head. I need to adjust the placement or the spread of these pixels. There's a couple ways I could do that. One is under Filter, under Other, we have these choices called maximum and minimum. Oddly, minimum will spread out the black a little. Should. See this little flashing situation there? That's the preview going extremely slowly. And I'm going to give it a radius of 6, and this little flashing thing should be stopping flashing here. Off. On. Okay, so I want to go in the other direction. So I'm going to cancel that, and I'm going to switch this to maximum. So I'm going to go again, filter, other, maximum. There we go. And you can see it's choking in the selection. I don't know if you can see it yet, but see what's happened there? Ooh, ah. Okay, looking pretty tight. And I'll click OK. There's a little bit of weirdness down here at the bottom. But overall, if I zoom in, Command plus, and I get resize my brush and come back here with the black brush, come back in here with the white brush, right here, fixing this edge. That's pretty convincing. So I would take the time to do that along this edge here, etc. Okay. So I went from that to this, to this, to this. Now this sky here, I don't know, it's got a lot of color in it for the rest of this image. This looks a little odd.
It's a storm coming.
Yes, and the color of the storm needs to be more yellow to make more sense for the highlights in their hair. So I'm going to add a adjustment layer of hue saturation. And as I slide, I'm going to slide more towards yellow. And it should be, there we go, this way. It almost looks too good now. And again, I might want to use this mask. So I'm going to Option, click and drag, and replace. There we go. See the difference? It's so different on the monitor than it is really back here. So that is a combination of adjustment layer with a mask, masked layer, adjustment layers with masks, and then layer. Now I'm going to add this on top and put this on overlay. And then using another layer mask here and black. I'm also going to lower the opacity of this. It's too intense. Just want it to sort of feel like a little bit of a treatment. Like that much. It's kind of interesting. And then increase the size of my brush, or better yet, Option, click and drag this one up and replace this mask. And I just kind of have this sort of papery look in the sky. I want to bring in some more of that papery look on the sky, on the edges. I could do that here, rolling it around here on his shirt. And then a soft brush, hardness 0, and I'll roll around that same general area just to kind of X to soften it up. I don't want any of the skin here. And then finally, with this layer selected, I'm going to add a adjustment layer to it. Adjustment layer, hue saturation, and I'll just take out all the color from that brown paper. Ew, no. Ew, no. Okay, so that's not what I need to do at all. I need to time where I really want to do, yeah, that's better. Right, so now it's affecting everything underneath it, right? Which doesn't really seem like that's what I want it to do at all. So over here is this little button here. Do you see this? It's so minuscule. It looks like a rectangle with an upside down L arrow on it. When I click that, the only layer it does that to, that's called clipping it. It clips that adjustment layer only to the paper layer. Without this, it does all the layers underneath, takes the saturation out of everything, and with this, it only does it to the paper layer. Okay? That's the last bit of masterful magic there. This little thing, this is the clipper. This adjustment clips to the layer. It's called a clipping adjustment. So it's only attached, and you can see here, there is a little arrow here. See it? Which means that only the one underneath it is being affected by this one. Without that arrow, it affects all. It takes the hue out of everything. If we hit everything else, you'd see that now the paper, although very thin, if I bring it up to 100% here, you can see it's very harsh. But the color change only, or the paper change is only affecting the sky layer, the wrinkle paper layer. So again, if I open this up and I click this off again, everything becomes no color, and then back again, only the wrinkled paper becomes no color. Right, so again, maybe this is too much. It's kind of a lot. But I really just did it to show you how you can stack things and get a lot more out of what you would expect to have happen with just an adjustment layer or just a levels adjustment or just mask. All right, folks. Any questions on anything we've covered tonight? It was a long night, I know. Lots of instruction tonight. Any questions?